Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee with Crainer. This is episode 116. And today I have Dennis Goggin from NextGen Mold Technologies here in Windsor, Essex. Also came from Concours when that was opened back in the day. But he's the president here at NextGen. And today we're going to be talking all about injection molding and his role as president and where the company's going. They're just coming up on 2 years now. So we have some exciting things to talk about. And it's the first interview I've done in the mold industry.
Okay.
So I'm very excited to learn more about it. Dennis, could you talk more about how you started? How did this all happen?
So I was fortunate to be able to be in the industry since I was a kid. My father started Concours Mold back in 1994. So when I was 3-4 years old. So as soon as I was old enough to start cleaning things, I was cleaning the shop, helping set up machines, learning the ins and outs of everything from making sure that the shop's clean, everything set up for the employees, and eventually spending time in every department, building tools, supporting the machining department, dealing with the program managers to make sure, customer communication, everything's set up in that regard. So I spent, the entirety of my summers, weekends, everything growing up in the mold shop. So it's been in my blood and my family for a long time. So.
And was running your own company a goal of yours?
I don't think it ever was a goal.
Oh, okay.
When I was growing up. I kind of always figured I would stay in this industry. I enjoy automotive. I enjoy the pace of it, the excitement, the constant change, especially, the last few years with the switch to electrification. It's kind of revamped my interest and my, the excitement around the industry. So as far as owning a business, no, I don't think that was ever a goal, as I was growing up. It just kind of made sense,
But you knew you wanted to work in the mold industry?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
I've enjoyed it. I enjoy the people that I work with. It's, a very high skilled trade and people really care about what they do. Not that people don't in other industries, but it's, I find it's a pretty unique group of people in Windsor in this industry.
And for those who have never heard of NextGen Mold and what you're all about, could you just share briefly, especially for those that might not understand the mold industry too well?
The injection mold industry, I know, a lot of people don't know what it is, but a lot of our lives, everything is plastic in our life, from water bottle to sunglasses to anything plastic that comes from an injection mold. So we're primarily automotive, so anything plastic in your car is a plastic injection mold that we would manufacture or any of the shops in Windsor. But so much of our lives revolve around plastic injection. So essentially it's plastic is melted, injected into a void or a cavity. The plastic then sets and forms in there. Different mechanisms, components form different aspects of the part. Once the plastic's set, the mold's open, part ejected out, and it's, forms whatever part you're trying to mold. And
so there's really no limits in the type of plastic component for a vehicle that you could make?
No. I mean, there are limitations, but, that's what our feasibility and design department, work hand in hand with our customers to say this is in a moldable condition. You need to modify this, move this feature here. And that allows us to, ultimately get the customer the part that they want.
And how competitive is this market that you're in?
It's very competitive, especially in Windsor. So, people say Windsor is the mold capital of the world, particularly automotive, just with our proximity to the big three. But it's very, very competitive, and it's more so on a global standpoint now. So, back in the 70s and 80s, Windsor was, it was very cutthroat from a tool shop standpoint. We're all in business to succeed and take care of our own people, but I find Windsor is becoming more of a collaborative effort to make sure that, our customers are building tools in North America and not, offshoring it, trying to make sure that our customers are reshoring. So it's very competitive, definitely competing with some low cost countries. But it's, I think Windsor's maintains its own reputation just due to our quality and our reactivity with our customers. So.
And you mentioned having to compete with other countries. How do you compete in this market?
Well, the tariffs that were implemented a few years ago definitely helped it. But beyond that, lead time is a big factor of us being able to compete with costs or with low cost countries. You know, you're shipping over from China, it'll take, you know, 6 to 10 weeks to go on a boat. So, you know, you take Tesla, for example, when they decide that they want to launch a vehicle, you know, a lot of OEMs might take 2-3 years to develop a vehicle. Someone like Tesla wants to develop a vehicle in 12 months. They can't afford to go overseas, go to low cost countries, you know, lose those 12 weeks while in transit across the ocean. And a lot of the North American tier ones are starting to follow suit, where it's rapid development and rapid launch of vehicles. So that's where, you know, North American Windsor shops in particular are able to set themselves apart, where we can meet those deliverables.
And to really go look into that further, it starts with having a good team.
Yeah. It's everything is about the, you know, determination, the communication, and the skill set of the team. So what we do here every day, we have a good reputation for quality. We're a new company. So obviously quality is everything, right? You're only as good as your last tool. And our quality is building our reputation. So
yes, and we say that same thing in the mortgage business. You're only good as your last deal.
Correct. Yep.
So you quality is everything.
Yep.
Service is everything for sure. You mentioned you had about 38, 40 employees. What are the types of jobs that those people fill?
Variety. So I mean, you have mold makers that are they're doing the final assembly, they're doing the fitting, the adjustment of the molds, you know, before they go to the customer, working backwards from the mold makers. You have machinists that are taking the CAD data provided from the design team, programming the CNC machines, the EDM machines, to actually take a raw block of steel and creating the tool in that regard. Going back to design, you have surfacing and design that are taking the 3D part model from the customer, from the OEM, from Ford, Chrysler, GM, and then they're actually designing the mold around that part data. So they'll be interacting with our customers saying, you know, like I said before, this isn't a moldable condition. We suggest you change this. Then they'll go back to the styling studio, say, we can't do that. Can you try this? There'll be a lot of iterations of data to make sure we're able to, you know, build a toolable condition so that the mold's going to run for, you know, 1 million shots over the next 8 years. But that also the design studio at the OEM is satisfied with the part.
And so during the pandemic, most people were accustomed to working from home. Have you found being a new company difficult to hire employees, or is that struggle still there? Because these are great high paying jobs. It's a job for life, right?
Yeah, it is a job for life. Some aspects, some roles I find a challenge to fulfill them. I have a pretty strong network, you know, from my past, that, you know, people want to work with us at NextGen. So I'm fortunate in that regard. There's a lot of excitement and hype about being part of NextGen.
Especially being a new company, right?
Exactly, right? So it's fresh. We do a lot of activities and we're engaged with our employees. So I find it we're fortunate in that regard. So it's not easy to find employees, but I think we have an easier time than most shops in the city doing so.
Because of that culture and just the appeal of wanting to work at NextGen, right?
Correct. And being a small or medium-sized shops, right? There's a lot of large businesses where people don't feel as engaged with the management team. So we're fortunate that we're tight-knit. And, you know, I know if somebody's kid's sick or if someone's kids soccer team did well, and people like to be treated well, right?
Yeah,
so
they appreciate that. Yeah. And so this is your first time in a president role, overseeing a company. It's been about 2 years. What are you enjoying? What's been a challenge?
I enjoy the people I work with. That's one of the biggest reasons I started a business, is because I wanted to be able to choose who I go to work with every day. And I enjoy everybody I work with. We're friends. Is it stressful? Yeah. Do we get in disagreements daily? But, you know, if I'm wrong, I have no problem saying I'm wrong. You're right. We should have done it your way. Let's try it now. That's the thing that I enjoy the most, is working with my people here. What do I like least? Stress. It's stressful at times.
Yeah.
You know, the first year was definitely stressful. We're in year 2 now. There's peaks and valleys, but I've learned to maintain it. I've, you know, learned to adapt. I know what my stressors are. I know what helps alleviate my stress and things like that. So learning the ebbs and flows of dealing with, you know, the environment of running a business, that's the biggest challenge for me.
And what does it look like running a business as, you know, in the mold industry as president? If you could walk us through kind of like a day in the life of Dennis.
It's a balancing board of having too much work and not enough work. This industry is so cyclical that it's never you have the perfect amount of work. It's exactly that. It's one day you have way too much work, and then the next week the floor is dried up and you don't have enough work, and you're hitting the pavement, going to customers and getting work.
Yeah, that can be challenging, especially in our industry with rates constantly fluctuating. Right, one week is great, rates go up. The next week it's kind of a bit slow. People hold back a bit. You have to find a way to work through that somehow. Right?
Yep, exactly.
But no, it's a very exciting industry that you're in, and I guess to expand on that, what would you say to someone that's fresh out of high school and they want to enter the mold industry? Is it go to a college, seek out an apprenticeship, or just start right away?
I'd recommend doing the OYAP program,
Okay.
The Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program, right through your high school. I believe most high schools in Essex County offer it. I know North Star does. And that gives you a taste of the industry. We always try to get OYAP students in here, get some exposure to the shop, see if you enjoy working with your hands. You're better off to figure out at, 17, 18-year-olds that this is not what I want to do, or I really enjoy this. I want to be a tool maker. I want to be a CNC machinist. I want to go into design. That's the best route to do it. Figure out at a young age if you want to do this. There's a ton of opportunity to grow, the avenues that you can go. You learn so much in this industry that, if you're a good tool maker and, the industry slows down, you can go out west and work on the oil rigs. It's a transferable skill set, this industry. CNC machinists, it's not only for injection mold industry. You can do oil and gas, you can do aerospace, you can do production machining. So it's very transferable.
You're not limited at all.
Correct. And you can make a very, very good living. So
now, if somebody walked through this door right now and said, Dennis, I want your job in the next 10 years, what would you say to that person?
Take it. Yep. No, I mean, it's possible. I mean, I have people in the shop that want my job, and I want them to do that. I'd like to transition myself into another role and make myself redundant so that, this company runs itself, and I can go out and, I enjoy interacting with customers and clients, and a lot of them are my friends, and I'd like to be able to do that, and, have a team here that's running the business, that's maintaining a reputation, our quality, and I get to do the parts of business that I enjoy the most.
What does it take to be in your shoes?
Tenacity, perseverance, emotional intelligence.
And would you say this individual that wants to be in your shoes, work in the industry 5-10 years, is it something that could somebody outside of the mold industry jump into and lead a company like this? Or do you need boots on the ground experience to do what you're doing?
I'm not a mold maker. I'm not a machinist. I'm not a designer. But I know every aspect of the industry.
Gotcha.
I think it'd be very challenging. And I mean, there are some businesses in the city that are bringing external people in, and it's a struggle.
Yeah.
I couldn't sell a mortgage. I wouldn't know the first thing about it.
Yeah.
Right. Could I learn it? Sure. But if you have an insider's view, you're going to be much more successful in this industry.
Yeah, it's very interesting because, like you said, there are companies that are out there looking for top executives to replace their existing CEO. And
Correct.
Like you said, because this industry is so specialized, it's not something that somebody just can jump into and lead right off the go because they led a different
Correct.
Company in a completely different industry. So
it's a unique business.
yes, 100%. My last question to really wrap this up, what would you say, where would you say NextGen is headed in the next 5 to 10 years? If you had a crystal ball, or perhaps your goals for the company, where would you like to see it looking back, or looking 10 years in the future?
10 years in the future, footprint wise, I'd like to, build my own plant. I have a vision of, what that plant would look like, layout. Definitely, obviously, investing in some, advanced machinery. Expanding our footprint, possibly into other countries as well. So the United States, Mexico, just where our customers are. And continuing to, focus on the unique customers that come to us with tight time constraints, challenging projects, not just mundane, everyday tooling, questions. We really want to focus on working with unique customers that are, the difficult OEMs and tier ones that a lot of companies in Windsor shy away from. We want to go towards them. Because my thought process is, if I can do well with the most difficult customers, then everybody else will be a cakewalk. So I want to build our system around, identifying who is the most difficult customers, the most unique situations, build our system, our processes around dealing with those customers, and then we'll be successful with everybody.
Yes,
So
exactly. So it sounds like, would you head back to Mexico?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah.
You'd live there again?
I wouldn't live there again, but I have a good, I have a very strong team down there that I would be able to bring on board as well.
Awesome.
So, the automotive growth in Mexico is tremendous right now. So it only makes sense.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You got to go where the growth is, right?
Correct. Yep.
No, this is very exciting. I've enjoyed when you first announced in December of 2021, this company, and just seeing the growth, and when you're posting on LinkedIn and photos of your team growing and the stories behind it. So it's in a very attractive space to be in.
Yep.
I like, you're putting a very modern twist on mold technology.
Yep.
And making it exciting and fun and an attractive industry to be in. So congratulations to you, and congrats on 2 years.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you being here, Dennis.
Thank you.
And those watching, if you missed the episode, visit coffeewithcrainer.com, where you can watch the full thing, or anywhere on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it, it's there. Thanks, everyone.